Hello then, my fellow Pokemon trainers. You know what's better than your favorite Pokemon? Your favorite Pokemon in an alpha form. That way it's larger, which is obviously better, and more importantly has at least 3 perfect IVs straight away. This saves you having to use bottle caps to hyper train it, and if you get lucky on what it's perfect in fact you might not need to use any bottle caps whatsoever. But you know what's better than an alpha Pokemon that's inherently more powerful? A shiny alpha Pokemon. Because then not only is it inherently more powerful, it looks damn good. So today then, I want to talk farming alpha Pokemon, which just so happens to also overlap as farming shiny alpha Pokemon. Now, of course, when you're targeting a specific alpha, that's a single spawn. The various different shiny methods that we've covered on the channel, I'll link them down below, of course apply here, but you're only rolling a single chance, so you're going to have less luck in terms of speed of shiny acquisition than if you're just kind of scattershotting a whole population of Pokemon. But that's okay, because there are a few methods here that really let you target, and honestly, targeting is kind of what you want. It's all well and good speed farming any given shiny, but what you want is the shiny you're after. What you want is the alpha you're after. So, as a quick example then, let's take this alpha Pidgeot. Now, this is a fixed spawn. It will be on this roof in the city, and you can find various, interactive maps around the place that show you all the potential alpha spawns, so you can apply this to any given alpha spawn around the map. Step 1 then, you want to get to it. Once you've gotten to it and you can see it, well, check if it's shiny. If you don't care about it being shiny, obviously just catch it and you've got your alpha, fantastic. But if you care about it being shiny, all you need to simply do is walk away from it until you physically see it phase out of existence. That's not just a draw distance thing, that's it stopping existing. Which means when you then walk back in range, which will force it to reappear, that's a fresh roll of it. So it'll have a different set of at least 3 perfect IVs. It'll have a fresh roll at the chance of being shiny. You just go back and forth, in and out of its spawn range, and every time you do that, you roll its shiny odds. Now, of course, those full odds are 1 in 4,096, so on average, you will have to run back and forward in range 4,096 times in order to get it shiny, depending on if you're lucky, unlucky, or not. So, yeah, that's going to take a little bit of time. In fact, it should take, on average, about 3 hours to force that to happen, depending on how fast you are with your run-ins and your run-outs. Now, yeah, that's a fair chunk of time, but you know, you can do it fairly passively, you can put on a show, and, well, the end result is you get specifically the shiny Pokemon you're after in specifically alpha form. And that's pretty damn cool. Now, obviously, once you get the shiny charm, well, that makes it 75% faster, i.e. turning the odds into 1,024 to 1. Which means doing this method will actually only take 45 minutes on average to turn the alpha you're phasing in and out of existence into a shiny Pokemon, assuming a 3 to 5 second loop of running around, spawning it in, spawning it out. Obviously, it might vary a little bit depending on the location and how awkward or not it is to do the phase in, phase out, run back and forth. That's really, really cool, and honestly, in the grand scheme of Pokemon's history, pretty damn fast for when we're targeting something so specifically in an alpha state. So to get the shiny charm, of course, that means getting to max research level. We do have a guide up on the channel in order to make that happen as quickly as possible, especially that ridiculous 1,000 battle win final research you'll need, and I'll also link that down below. But this sort of phase in and out running coupled with shiny charm is incredibly effective, but we can get even more effective than that, especially if you're a little bit more flexible on what the alpha actually is. And of course, you can also do something like just repeatedly rest on a bench nearby to the alpha. If you have the turbo controller, well then just tape your joystick going down and A being mashed, and you'll just auto keep resting until night, until morning, until night, rolling it as a shiny. And remember, if a shiny does happen, the game keeps it for you, up to 10 of them, so there's no chance of you losing it. You do that all night, come back in the morning, the alpha might well be a shiny automatically for you. But of course, not everybody has a turbo controller or a method of doing it AFK, so this really is second best, and it's also best if you want pure speed and you're willing to have a kind of lazily active part in proceedings. Obviously, as I don't have the shiny charm, I've not walked back and forth in front of a Pidgeot I don't care about for 3 hours, but the principle is there, and it certainly does work. But in any case, let's take this a step further with some proper alpha farming if you're a little bit more flexible in which alpha it is. First, you finish the story, finish Mission 38, and unlock Wild Zone 20. So in Wild Zone 20 then, at the very center, you will always have 2 guaranteed alpha Pokemon spawns, and they can be nearly anything. By nearly anything, there is 64 that the pool can choose from. And if you're wondering what the 2 alphas have a random chance of being here in the center, well, this is your list. And as you can see, and as I'll be saying, it really is, for the most part, quite an appealing list of Pokemon. I think you would be hard-pressed to find anyone who probably doesn't want at least 2 out of this list on their final, ideal, perfect Legends Z-A team. Probably more, certainly more in my case, and that makes this an incredibly valuable thing to be able to leverage and save yourself having to catch low levels, train them up, etc., on top of the IV and various other benefits that alphas do give you. So, yeah, this is really nice that they made this a thing, and I'm really, really happy it exists. So right here, on first walk-in, I've got a Dragonite and a Sylveon, level 63 and level 65, so fairly high-level, powerful alpha Pokemon, and that's really, really cool. But the thing is, unlike all the other alpha Pokemon spawns in the game, these ones, as I said, are random, which means if you leave and force them to despawn by simply getting too far away from them, well then the game does what it's supposed to do and will then repopulate them when you return. But they're random alphas, so when you return, they're 2 different random alphas. This time we have got Hawlucha and, of course, Clefable. So that is very interesting, and as you might imagine, Clefable? And as you might imagine, this is ripe for abusing. So the best way to abuse this then is you spawn in, you run to the center, have a look what you've got. We've got a Raichu and a Delibird here, and then you simply leave. Once you get far enough away, you will force both of them to despawn. See, right here, we can still see both of them. So if you want to do it and take a little bit more extra time, you can leave via the gate, run a little bit down the street, and then return into the gate. Now obviously this is kind of slow because it means including the walk through the gate animation, but as you can see we've now forcibly re-rolled them in to a Gallade and a Tyranitar, and you can just sort of keep doing this forever. So right there we got rid of both the Gallade and the Tyranitar, we walk back in, and oh, now we've got a Klefki and a Scraggy. This is a really, really effective way then to just perpetually keep spawning 2 completely different alpha Pokemon and hopefully seeing what you get. And you don't need to leave the zone. They will path randomly, which will make this a little bit awkward sometimes, and I would also highly recommend that you just kind of get rid of all of the other assorted Pokemon in the area, as it can make all of this quite awkward. If you don't, you'll have them constantly attacking you, but you essentially just rotate around the zone until you make them despawn, and then see what you get. So now we've got a Dragonite, which is really, really cool. But let's say I want something else. We will now head away from them, and you kind of want to look where both of them are and head in the direction that is equidistantly away from them both. So here we have done that, and then we will head back in, and now we have a Dedenne and a Florges. So you can kind of see how this goes. So if what you're wanting is an alpha of any of the 65 or so Pokemon that spawn in Zone 20, and it's essentially the 65 or so coolest, best, most loved and wanted Pokemon in the game, so you probably will, you can just do this endlessly until they spawn, and your chances are very, very good. Now, of course, if we then work this in to the shiny side of things, well, every time you're doing this, you're having a roll at 2 shiny alphas potentially spawning, and that you know that the pool that these shiny alphas will pull from is a pool of really desirable Pokemon that you would have a great time having as alpha. So this just means that we have a really nice concentrated way to do this. And if all you want is just at least 1 shiny alpha from this potentially really high value pool, once you get the charm, well, you can make this happen in about 20 minutes of running backwards and forth, which I think is pretty damn swish, all things considered. Garbodor and a Victory Bell now. It's really fun to just keep this re-rolling happening over and over and over again until you get what you want. It's how I've gotten a few of the Pokemon I care about, and with really good IVs, thanks to this method. So yeah, this is just a really, really nice way to make it happen. Now remember, once you catch or defeat one, you have to wait a good chunk of time for them to respawn and have a new alpha to roll, so that is something to keep in consideration. But once you do find an alpha that you actually want, well, make sure you save the game, of course, and then engage it. Once you have knocked it out, and try not to offend the other alpha Pokemon that's there, so you're not fighting 2 at once. Once you have knocked it out and it's in the stunned, you have 1 chance to catch phase, well then save the game again quickly. Then try and catch it. If it fails, load the game, and you will return in the moment where it was stunned, and you have 1 chance to catch it. So you can have infinite goes at the highest chance to catch the Pokemon, and that is pretty damn good. So yeah, this is just a really, really high value alpha farm that also gives you the highest chance at getting shiny alphas, albeit one from a mixed pool. Then as a little bonus tip, you can actually AFK farm shiny alpha Pokemon in the center of Zone 20. It's a very slow AFK method, and it's one you would only use if you know you're not going to be able to play your Switch for a long period of time and you want to just leave it going in order to maybe have a chance at come back and getting a shiny. Essentially, you want to just clear out all the random Pokemon around you and then come stand here in the Wild Zone, bottom left underneath the 20. This is the safest place I have found where you're not going to get killed by wild Pokemon, and also the alphas won't have issue with you despite where they patrol. Now, of course, it's not 100% guaranteed, but I've yet to have this go wrong. And all you simply do is just stand here, and that's it. Leave your console running, go away for a couple days, and come back. See, what will happen is time will pass automatically in-game, and you'll keep transitioning to night, and then from night to day, and then from day to night. Every time that transition happens, and it takes about 10 minutes, well, you re-roll the alpha Pokemon that are here. However, if you get a shiny one, because the game saves it for you no matter what happens, well, then you will keep it, so you don't have to worry about a day or night transition actually affecting it. So in theory, if you have the shiny charm and you just stand here and leave it, you'd come back to a shiny alpha in nearly 2 days worth of just AFKing, which obviously, you know, really slow, but if for whatever reason you can't actually play during that time, hey, it's something you could think about. Just a fun little extra way to use the way shiny and respawning Pokemon works in this game. I hope you've found this certainly useful, and used in conjunction with all the other things we've been talking about, you can get some really, really good results here. For now then, like if you've enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more, consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.